Hey, everybody, welcome into another summer edition of Day by Day. Well, summer for me, my kids are out of school. Andrew, up in the Pacific Northwest, the forgotten country, you guys are still in school.
Yeah, they got a couple weeks left, and then we're planning camping trips and all kinds of stuff right now, which is fun.
Nice. I'm excited for our show today because it's kind of a potpourri. We're kind of in that season where we just got a bunch of random stuff going on. And so we're just going to chat about some things and talk a little football. We'll kind of put a cap on baseball, and then I have some hypothetical questions I want to talk to you about Nebraska football stuff. But before we get to all that, we just want to remind you guys who are watching and listening, you can find us on characterchronicles.com, YouTube, Spotify. Please like and subscribe to the show. Helps more people find us. We appreciate you tuning in as always. Okay, so let's start with baseball. Season ended on a really sour note. Yeah. I think we lost by 16 runs to Oklahoma to end the season. Great getting there, right? Just didn't go the way they wanted. I don't know if you watched. So I don't subscribe to ESPN Plus. I don't have the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN bundle. So I just listened. And I'll be honest, I didn't listen to that last game. I had some stuff going on, was doing stuff around the house in the yard. And I thought, you know what, if they win, great. I'll get to listen to them. I'll listen tonight when they play North Carolina. If they lose, then, season's over. So if that makes me a bad fan, I'm a bad fan. But I'm curious if you listened to the last game.
I did not listen. I watched the win over Holy Cross. I watched like the last 5 innings or so. And then kind of did the same thing you did. We do have ESPN Plus, but I just kind of paid attention to Twitter and X, whatever. On scores. In fact, I think Sunday I was at church and I pulled it up and it was like 9-0. I'm like, yeah, not even gonna.
That's what it was. It was Sunday. Yeah, we were getting back from church and I was like, this is not good.
And it's funny where your mind can go after the win against Holy Cross. It's like, all right, I went to bed that night thinking we can do this. Like we can make a super here. And then just
right. Like Oregon lost. You're like, we could host a super regional.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, we could host a super.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Just wasn't meant to be.
I'm not upset about it. It's frustrating, but it does feel like a season where we went a little further than, if you maybe not expected at the beginning of the season, halfway through to win the Big Ten tourney and make the regional was like a little bit of a bonus. So I don't know. Maybe that's just where I'm at in life right now, but
Here's a question for you. I saw this floating around on social media. Do you consider Nebraska to be a Big Ten champion, even though they finished whatever it was, 8th or 9th in the conference, and then they won the tournament? Did they win a Big Ten championship, or did they just win the tournament? How do you
I
feel
do
about that?
I guess I would feel that way either way. To me, I think to win a tournament like that is really challenging.
I agree.
In football, if you win the Big Ten championship game, you feel that way. I would rather win that big game or that tournament than just kind of finish out with a better record and say I'm the winner. To me in basketball, it would mean more as well to win the tournament rather than finish with a stronger record or win.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
I probably would say they aren't the Big Ten champions, but they are the Big Ten tournament champions. I mean, I think it's still like you said, I think it's a good accomplishment. Yeah. It's hard to win, especially in that format that they had this year. Like Nebraska had to win, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had to win 5 games in a row, right? 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
4 games in a row to be the tournament champions. That's hard to do. It's hard to do with, college baseball. You don't usually play. I mean, I know they had a gap, right? They had some time in between, but that first and second game, but you're not used to playing that much. So,
look at it even this way. You said kind of the difference between the tournament champion and champion, but you wouldn't say that for the college basketball champion and the NCAA tournament champion, right? Like,
Yeah,
I know they're vastly different events, but yeah, in my mind, it feels big to win that tournament because that's it. That's the end, so.
agree. Now, I don't know what Nebraska is going to do in the offseason. Again, we've talked on the show, I think last time. I love baseball. I played baseball growing up into high school, but I just don't have the capacity to follow college baseball like I do college football or basketball.
Yeah.
A lot more teams. I don't know what the transfer portal is like. I did see there's a lot of guys already in the transfer portal. So it's like, can Will Bolt go out and find some quality bats? Can we get some pitching depth? The pitching just killed them this year. But then at the same time, it was timely hitting wasn't there. And power wasn't there. You look at the women, set a school record for home runs. And it's like, Nebraska, I would imagine they didn't even crack top 25 in terms of best seasons for home runs. So, I'm curious what they can do in the off season through the portal. Yeah. What's the NIL market for baseball players, right? Like baseball just brings in so little in terms of revenue,
yeah,
even in terms of eyeballs. So I just can't imagine they get a huge share of NIL dollars.
Yeah. And it's kind of, again, I think we live in the past a little with Nebraska baseball, as we do at times with football.
We do.
Where it's like, what does Nebraska, what are we? Who are we? What standard do we deserve to put ourselves at? We like to look back at our college days. We had the
best.
Yeah. We had Gordon, we had NCAA World Series runs. Like, are we even, is that even a it's a possibility, but look how dominant the SEC is and those Southern teams. It's just what's reality for us. That sound like a downer or low expectations, but
that's what's crazy. And I think it was a couple years ago now, I wrote an article about this, basically saying what you just said, like what we witnessed with Nebraska baseball from about 1999 until really about 2005 to 10.
Yeah.
So about a 10-year stretch was an unprecedented in Nebraska baseball history, but really for a lot of programs, the success that they had, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And the point I made in the article was that was the outlier.
Yeah.
That period of time, I think you will never see again in Nebraska baseball history.
Yeah.
Like what we did as a Northern team was unreal.
Yep.
Oregon State's the one exception. I don't really consider them like a Northern team because they're on the West Coast. It's you know what it's like out. It's different, right? The weather is a lot different.
Yeah.
So, with Major League Baseball, so you can be a team who's in New York City and win because you're competing against everybody else on the same schedule. You all go to the same 1 or 2 or 3 places for spring training, but in college baseball, you can't do that. And so if you're in Florida, like you can literally play all year round outside and it's a huge advantage. It's different than football. Obviously basketball, everything's indoors. So I think what Nebraska accomplished then will never be repeated.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see it.
Especially, we have an expanded Big Ten now, and you got these warm weather schools that I think finish top 5 in the league every year is a reasonable expectation. And I
agree.
We did make the NCAA tournament, but I think to get our hopes up every year for a CWS is it's going to be a while.
Yeah. Agree. I think if you can make the NCAA tournament every year, which I think they should be able to do, compete for a super regional
Yeah.
every 3 out of 5 years. And yeah, if you can get to a College World Series once a decade, that would be incredible.
Would.
So I don't know if you saw this, but a couple of weeks ago, I really nerded out and I plotted on a spreadsheet all of the Big Ten teams, conference regular season titles, tournament titles, NCAA appearances, regional titles, College World Series, national champions. And so if you're listening and you haven't seen this, you can go to my Twitter and just find it. And then this is just a public spreadsheet, so anybody could look at this. You can't edit it or anything like that. You can't download it, but you can look at it and share the link. And when you look at like Big Ten baseball pedigree, even including teams like Oregon or Washington, it's pretty paltry, right? It's pretty pathetic. You have USC and UCLA, and even Minnesota and Michigan, who have a pretty incredible history. But like, if you look at total NCAA tournament appearances, Nebraska is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're sixth best out of 18 teams.
Yeah.
In the history of college baseball, of these 18 teams, the history of college baseball, they're 6 out of 18 in number of NCAA tournament appearances. And you're like, well, that's not that bad. No, it's really not. I mean, the gap between them and USC is pretty significant. But you got teams on here like Northwestern has made 1. They still have a team. Wisconsin, who doesn't even have a team anymore, also just 1 NCAA tournament appearance, 1950, the same year they happened to go to the World Series, because it was the same thing back then in 1950.
Wow.
Purdue has made 3 NCAA tournaments in their history. Michigan State 5, Iowa 6. Iowa has made 6 NCAA tournaments in their history. Maryland just 9. Indiana, who we kind of think like, oh, they had Kyle Schwarber, they were incredible. They've only made 10 NCAA tournaments in their existence. Oregon, 12.
Yeah, that's
12.
wild.
Like 12. Oh, Oregon, blue blood. No,
Nope.
no, you're not. You're not. They've won a few regional titles recently. They had 3 in 2012, 2023, 2024. Of course, they were eliminated first round. Washington, 12. Illinois, 13. Rutgers, 15. And then you get to Penn State, 17, and then Nebraska, 19. And then in order of most appearances from least to greatest: Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA, Minnesota, USC. So it's like there's just not a great pedigree. And so it's like, where does it fit? Like, we're in the top third, but only because we would be near the top, right, if it weren't for USC and UCLA joining. So
it's like there's expectations, but
like
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but then, like, what if I were to do this and we were like, okay, now let's compare to some of the other Pac-10, Pac-12 teams, right? Stanford, Oregon State, and then we have let's go southeast. Let's go Alabama, Arkansas, Florida State, Miami, Mississippi State, Texas, Oklahoma, right? Those schools just blow us out of the water.
Yeah.
And what do they all have in common, right? Nice weather.
Warm weather.
No, warm weather. So anyway, I didn't expect to go there, but there you go.
We put a good 14-minute recap on.
Oh my gosh. All right. We'll see if I keep that in. Maybe I'll edit that out. All right. Okay, let's move on here. I want to talk a little Husker football. I'll get to my hypothetical question. Start with 2 things first. I want to know what you think about the new field that sparked some. Actually, I love it. I want to know what you think. I love it. I think it looks awesome. I want to know what you think about leaving at halftime. And then I want to talk a little bit about Trae Taylor. But first, the field. Have you seen the new field? I'm sure you have.
Yes, I've seen plenty of photos, and I'm of the same mind. I love it. Like,
I think it looks sharp.
I had to go back and kind of look at, okay, what was it again, and try to compare the two images. It does feel like, I think the end in the middle is a little bigger. I've read that as well.
Yeah.
So I think bigger, bolder. I like the red 20s, or the 20-yard, or the 20-yard line.
Sure.
Feels kind of traditional football to me. And the dark end zones. I think my biggest takeaway was, I don't feel like the concerns everyone had about stepping out of bounds in the end zone is going to be that big an issue, because that white out of bounds line seems to be pretty profound. So I like it.
Yeah. And then there's also not another white line after the red on the outside. And I think that was, I don't know if that was the deal at Purdue when that guy had that catch that wasn't a catch, but
and if that hadn't happened, I don't think it would have been a talking point. But I did think of it the other day, though, like at Purdue, that can hurt you, but it could also be an advantage for, teams that come in and they're not used to it. Maybe you train yourself to get used to where that line is. So I don't think it's an issue. I really like the bold look. I think if I were to dream big, I'd probably ask for a script Huskers or even put corn Huskers instead of Huskers. Would be kind of cool. So
did they not have that at one point on the end in the middle of the field? Did they have the script Huskers? I have to look that up. I thought maybe like 91, 92.
Did they? I don't know.
They had that.
I think they had kind of the narrower stick end. That's all I remember, that or the new block end. So
man, I should look this up right now. I almost guarantee you, I thought at some point they had Huskers across. I'm not really finding anything on image search right here. I probably have to just go back and watch some games on YouTube. I bet I could find it. Okay, that'll be a project this week.
I think it'd be cool to see. Maybe, I don't know if they can do it more with grass when we move to grass someday, but it would be cool to see a little bit more versatility throughout the season with logo.
Like changing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Like to put the black shirt logo somewhere for a game would be really
cool.
Fun. Like the alternate uniform game with the black shirt logo in the middle of the field, or, I think that's.
So they're putting Herbie on the basketball court. We talked about this, a couple months back. Let's put a huge Herbie on the 50-yard line.
Or throw the skull and bones out there.
Yeah. Okay, now, leaving at halftime. I didn't even know you could do this. I've been going to games since I was 8. My first game, I think we talked about this. Our first game was the same game.
Yeah. So, yeah.
1992, Oklahoma State. I didn't know you could leave. I've never wanted to. But every other sporting event I've ever been to in the world, you can't leave and come back. And usually it says on the ticket, no reentry. I never even thought to look. So did you know you could leave?
I did not. I thought there was, and I heard someone talk about this the other day, that you can't even go out and have a smoke. I thought they had a smoking area in the new.
Well, apparently not.
The new version of the stadium, but nothing. I know it's naive, but it's nothing that crossed my mind, because I don't even want to get up to go to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm not going to leave the stadium. I'm there to watch the game. I'm usually there when the gates open, and so.
Well, here's the thing. People are like, well, I need to smoke. I'm going to go to my tailgate. And I'm like, okay, maybe if you are right by an exit.
Yeah.
And right by not just like a ramp exit, but exit out the stadium. But let's say you're in the 50th row in the south end zone, which I sat in the south end zone once last year, and that was probably the first time I sat in the south end zone in 15 years.
Yep.
But if you're 50th row south end zone, you're not getting out.
Yeah. And where did you park? That's the other.
Yeah. And I get, okay, maybe I just want to go down and you're going to smoke. Okay. I get that. But like go eat. So maybe like I'll go grab a drink. I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
You're there.
But people do this.
It's crazy.
I'm with you. I'm there to watch the game. Yeah. I actually don't mind halftime shows. It's kind of nice to stand up, take a break, listen to the band, and just kind of gather your emotions, right?
Yeah.
So then that leads me to the idea of fan experience and you know, oh, you need to make the fan experience even better. And I'm curious what your thought is on that whole discussion. Do you get excited about thinking about fan experience at games, or do you kind of get sick of the idea of, oh, make it more fun for me to be at this game?
Yeah, I it's just something that I guess I have a hard time wrapping my mind around, because to me the fan experience is sitting in that seat, taking in the stadium,
going to the game,
watching the corny games that they put up on the screen, or
yep.
Yeah, that maybe it's the purist in me. It's just that pageantry of things. It's kind of sitting through some of the boring when you have to, like you said, gathering your thoughts and getting ready to watch some football. Like,
yep.
That's the experience to me. I don't need anything fancy. I get the bathrooms need upgraded. I get the concessions need better flow, but maybe I'm a little old school in that sense. I don't mind the grittiness of just going to a game and sitting.
I agree. I love going to the games. I know people talk about whether it's college football, college baseball, pro baseball, game pace, game speed. I'm like, when I go, I feel like I'm 10 again, and I never want this to end.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave. I want it to last forever. And I just want to, I just like being there.
Yeah.
So now the greatest game experience is if you win, right? Like, if you win, I don't care if you shot out hot dogs out of a cannon. I don't care if I caught a t-shirt. I don't care about Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't care. If they win the game, I don't care about drones. I don't care. So I don't care about all that if they win. Yeah. But if you lose, that's when you're like, okay, we got to be tip-top shape, man. It's like, it's because you're losing.
I will say, as a college football fan, what's fun on Saturdays is following the national scene. So
yeah,
I think the one thing as a fan that's important is the Wi-Fi connection that they provided, and being able to get on your phone at halftime, whatever, check scores, or hey, there's a triple OT game going on. I'm going to throw it on my phone quick while I'm watching the end of this one. Like,
I get that. From an infrastructure standpoint, I get that.
Yep.
So here's the question I texted you earlier this week, and I want to talk about. Well, there's a lot I think that's going to be different about Nebraska football on the field this year. I think we're going to see that. Obviously, we have 3 new coordinators. Think about that, right? 3 new coordinators. We have a lot of transfers. I think there's going to be some freshmen that play. But what is one thing you would change off the field of Nebraska football? And I got a couple other questions I asked you, but if you're like, okay, there's one thing I could change. So it could be fan experience. It could be, obviously like a low hanging fruit is like, okay, the weight room. Okay, we fixed that. They fixed that. All right. That's kind of off limits, but that would be an example. So what would be one thing you would change about Nebraska football off the field?
So I might get some hate on this.
But
I would like to see them go from Adidas to Nike.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
That's the thing?
I don't know. I'm trying to think nothing like too closely connected.
Wow.
Like packs the game. I'm not a fan of the Adidas fan apparel either.
Yeah.
I
did not think you'd say. I had 100 guesses. I would not thought you would have said that.
That's what I'm going with.
I mean, to be fair to Nebraska, when you look at it financially, they'll never go to Nike,
right?
Because they get more money from Adidas than Michigan gets from Nike.
It's just more of a personal style.
But you're saying from like a clothing, apparel, fan
Yeah.
I agree.
Not a business, yeah, I get the money's
I agree.
but I do think partly we've talked in the past about recruiting, and I mean I think there's some benefits of going with the trendier brand. So yeah.
Okay. So you would change it. So I asked the question to you. I texted this to you. I don't know if I can think of an answer. I struggling to think of, man, what would I change? And it might be because, man, you know what? Like, I so desperately just want them to win. I could care less about anything else. But one thing I would say, so I'm gonna stick with the Nebraska football, not like, fan experience or like, oh, parking. Okay, no, like you said, okay, their sponsor, right? That would in some ways actually affect the football team.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I would change off the field would be, and this might rub some people the wrong way because it would affect fan experience. I would not do any more documentaries or
that's a good one.
Even like social media stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly because it can be a distraction, and we know what it's like. You know what it's like when you see yourself on a screen and other people like it, and you're like, man, I'm something.
Yeah.
And you're really nothing. You're really not. Like, we're just normal people. Not Husker related, but this kind of stood out to me. So the Royals, right, called up Jack Caglianone from Omaha, and they put that video out. And at the end, he's just like, he looks at coach and he goes, I got to go call my dad. And the coach goes, go call your dad. And I get goosebumps because I'm just like, he's just a 22-year-old guy who's like, man, I really want to tell my dad that my dream's coming true. And obviously it's kind of it's kind of an ironic thing here because they filmed it. But I think when you do a lot of the interviews, hype video, it's like, okay, let's prove it on the field, and then we can have that stuff off the field.
Yeah.
So that would be what I'd say. And not forever, but just maybe one season. Just don't do it.
Yeah, that's bothered me for several years now. It used to be just kind of the weight room shots, guys just getting swole in the weight room. Like, I do kind of like the recaps, the cinematic recaps of games. That's
fun.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's just footage of the games. Yep.
But exactly, it's like, let's just, it doesn't help the perception and the expectation. Seeing this, like, we're analyzing every rep, every guy's bodies. Even you're seeing Dylan put pictures out in the last couple of weeks. It's like, oh, he looks fit, he looks fast. He's let's see it on the field. Yeah,
I agree. Okay, next question here then. What's your favorite off the field thing about Nebraska football?
So I think the easy answer for me is, and this might ruffle some feathers because we've loved to critique media a little bit, but I just love the circus around it, to a degree. Like, it's never dull. It's not like, oh, the season's over, I gotta wait 6 months before there's any content that comes out. Like, I can pop on any podcast or radio station every single day from up here in Washington and kind of get that fix and feel part of it. So I would say that appreciation that we have so much media that covers it, so much access, and the demand for it. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be pretty simple, pretty basic. I really love their plan for recruiting and how they build relationships with people. Cause I think that's, I don't know what Matt Rule's strengths finder is, like what his top 5 is. I would bet Relator or Woo would be up there. He just loves to build relationships. And so you can see that in their recruiting. And so again, will it make a difference on the field? I hope so, but I love their plan off the field.
And with your question too, I thought a lot of things I was trying to think of or come up with, I think those things will get better with the winning. Like,
for sure.
Let's start winning games. And I think that there's a lot of things that we're going to off the field. We're going to be excited.
So then that leads to the third one is, would you care as much about either of these things if Nebraska was consistently winning and competing for championships. So the apparel, the sponsor, Nike, and then well, gosh, what did you just say?
Media coverage.
Media coverage.
Accessibility.
Like if Nebraska was winning, would you even think twice about those things?
Definitely not the apparel piece, or like you said, the hype videos, all that type of stuff. Like because I think winning would justify some of that. I also think I don't think the media thing would change. Winning is going to probably increase the content that
right.
comes. So yeah, but to me, it's winning. Winning's priority one. So
I agree. Like I wouldn't think if they were doing those chasing 3 videos again, or chasing 7, or chasing whatever they want to call them. I'd be like, yeah, they're awesome. Great. We're winning. They wouldn't be called chasing. They'd be called chased. Right. So great. Yeah. Make them all you want. But yeah, winning cures a lot.
Yeah,
it does. Okay. Last topic here. So Trae Taylor is peer recruiting his behind off.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell he's all in, right? He loves Nebraska and he wants to be at Nebraska. And he seems like a really good kid. He's very active on Twitter, which is interesting he's only like 16.
Yeah. He's a sophomore.
Again, I am asking all of you, even if he's on Twitter and he seems like a good kid, don't talk to kids on Twitter.
Leave him alone.
Just leave him alone. Okay. Leave him alone. You don't need to tag him. You could talk about him as a player. Okay. It's just my little encouragement.
You don't need interaction with him. That's the thing. Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So he's all in, and he's going to be at Nebraska. And he even said, I think today or this weekend, like my goal is when Dylan leaves to take over. So do you think with Trae Taylor coming to Nebraska and having a ton of talent, that there's a place for Dayton Raiola at Nebraska?
I'm going to twist it a little more and say, is there a place for TJ Lateef? Was thought. Just because Dayton's an interesting, it's the legacy, and he committed really early.
That's a good point.
And he's a year ahead of Trae. So he's going into his senior
Dayton
year.
will be here next year.
Yeah.
No. He's going to be a senior this fall.
And Taylor has 2 years of high school left. So
yeah.
So does Dayton come in and take over from Dylan? I think Dayton wants this experience, I think, with his brother.
That's a good point.
It's just, I was thinking this too. I think credit to the coaching staff and the recruiting department on kind of stocking the cupboard as far as QB options go. But yeah, I don't know how the dynamics work. Does Dylan stick around for 4 years, or does he go pro after 3? But if he does that, then he doesn't play with his brother. There's kind of that. Yep. That interesting thought too. So
that is important. And I would guess, I don't know what Dylan's like in the classroom. He strikes me as a sharp guy. I'm sure he does fine. Is he able to graduate early enough? I know that's a goal for a lot of people. They want to finish school. He obviously gets paid well.
Yeah.
But if he has a good year, let's say he has a good year this year, and then let's say his junior year is incredible.
Yeah.
You'd be looking at being a top 10 pick. So
yeah,
why would you stay in school if you had your degree, even to play with your brother? Right? Like, sorry, bro, but I'm trying to.
And that changes that conversation. So then say he leaves after 3 and Dayton's good enough to start. He comes in, he starts, Trae comes, it's really hard because we're so far out from now. I will say the hype, Trae Taylor's a highly ranked QB at this point in his high school career. Far
Dylan, and Dayton is not.
Right. Yeah. So
you're saying far higher than Dayton or Dylan?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, than Dayton. If you compare Trae, Dayton, Trae he's the blue chip in the bunch
for sure. Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I don't envy the coaches who kind of have to map all this out,
Mm-hmm.
but I would guess that they're not worried about that.
Yeah.
They're like, let's get the guys here. Let's let them compete. And I mean, they're realistic people,
Mm-hmm.
like Matt Rule and his staff. Dana Holgerson is very, very down to earth and realistic. He's like, this is the way it is. If they don't want to compete or don't want to stay, they'll find another place to go.
Yeah.
And then you deal with that when it comes. But there's no reason to just say we're going to put all our eggs in the TJ Lateef basket. There's no reason to say we're going to put all our eggs in the Dayton Raiola basket.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the way, how many times do you think Dayton will get called Dylan? I mean, if Adrian Martinez was called Taylor Martinez, nobody's going to remember to call him. They're going to be like, oh, Dylan. Like,
Hey, and Adrian
call him Raiola.
I have a soft spot for Adrian. The guy's on an NFL roster still, by the way. I mean,
I really like Adrian, and I really wish he could have stayed for another year.
Yeah.
I understand why he left.
Yeah.
So he is a forever Husker for me because he got a degree from here.
Yeah.
Right? Like he graduated from Nebraska and then he had he transfer. I got in this discussion a couple weeks ago with some people on Twitter. And some of them didn't understand my rationale. It's like you're a forever Husker if you played your entire career here,
4 years,
and then graduated, or you left early to go to the NFL and you didn't play anywhere else, or you got your degree here and you transferred as a grad, but you have that piece of paper that says you graduated from the University of Nebraska Lincoln. You're a Husker. But I'll easiest low-hanging fruit. Second time I've used that phrase. Ernest Hausman is not a forever Husker.
No,
it's not once a Husker, always a Husker. No, I'm sorry, you're not.
Yeah,
you left.
Yeah,
you decided to leave after 1 year.
Is CJ Wilcher a Husker?
He got a degree from here.
Did he? Okay,
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah,
and I think he got a graduate degree from A&M. As I'm not mistaken, because he walked at senior day.
He followed. Is Trev Albert's a Husker? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting one. So yes, Trev is. I actually got into this discussion. He is, of course. He's one of the greatest Huskers ever. He will never be welcome back.
Yeah, I agree.
He will never be welcome back, and that's mostly because of how things just went down as an athletic director, obviously, but.
Yeah,
there's no way nobody's going to want him back here.
Hey, back to your point on the quarterbacks and future. I just think it's so difficult in today's college. It's been always in college football, but today's era with transfer portal and Matt Rule's been honest about encouraging transferring. You know, when the opportunity is right for guys.
Yep.
So yeah, it's hard telling what's going to be in 2 years. Also, you talk about coaches, and I think Dana probably wants to be a head coach again. So what if things really get humming here for the next 2 years and he's presented with an opportunity? Does Trae?
I don't know. I hope he never wants to be a head coach.
Right.
Again.
That's the hope, but you never know. So
what? Okay, where are you going with that? So
well, I'm just saying, because a lot of times players are tied to coaches.
Gotcha.
I don't think Rule's going.
Gotcha.
To really believe Rule when he says he wants this to be his last job, but like a Holgerson and a Trae Taylor,
and if Trae goes with Dana, yeah, for sure, I got you.
Say Trae explodes and he's the number 2 ranked QB in coming out of high school, and he knows the OC, that really changes things. I think so.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This has been good. This is actually a very well-paced conversation that we did not plan for at all. So
hey, you have to provide one story / update on a certain case.
Yeah. So I forgot to do this. It's been let's see, 27 hours at this point. So I coach my son's 3rd grade baseball team. We were at baseball practice last night and my wife sends me a text. This is never a text you want to get from your wife. She says, "You will not believe what our dog just threw up." and she's taken some seminary classes, graduate classes. So she's got a class like Monday nights on Zoom at 7. And so she's like, our oldest daughter is with her. She's like, I got to go to class. And so I text my daughter and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, Mosley is our dog's name. Mosley threw up again. And so I'm starting to get worried, and I'm trying to run practice with the boys. And so then I start to talk to some of my other coaches, some assistant coaches. And so we're talking about like, what's going on with my dog? Well, anyway, I get home and he continued to throw up. I had put pesticide down on the lawn the night before, and he didn't go out, but I'm like, maybe this morning, like after 12 hours, maybe he still found some wet stuff and like ate it like it could be. We had just given him a bath and a cut, like we did the grooming the day before. We found 2 ticks above his eye. They weren't big, but I was like, maybe there was an instant reaction. Our son, I don't know what the difference between dogs and humans here is, but our son had a reaction to vomit. Like he was vomiting after getting bit by a tick a couple years ago. So I was like, maybe it could be that. I don't know. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not a doctor, but it's enough that I'm like, we got to get this dog in to the vet. And so there's like one emergency vet open in Lincoln. Thankfully it's near our home. So I take him in, and I didn't even get to the doctor, Andrew. I'm at the front desk, and Mosley throws up again. And the guy at the desk looks over, and he comes up with his paper towel, and he looks down. And I'm sorry for the graphic nature of this, but there was some it looked like coffee grounds in there. It was dark. It looked like a dark red brown. So I'm sorry. I probably should put a warning on this episode for people who are queasy. He kind of bends down and he goes, looks like chocolate. And I was like, no, like what? And then it hit me. Earlier that day, I yelled at the dog for having his head in our pantry door, our doors are never open to the pantry. Why are they never open, Andrew? Because we have a dog. So you don't leave your pantry doors open. So I don't know who left the pantry doors open. We are not into blaming. We don't point the finger, we point the thumb, or in this home. So I don't know who left the pantry door open. But we had a large bag of chocolate chips in a Ziploc bag on the bottom drawer of the pantry. And I saw him in there, and I just yelled at him, hey, get out of there. I didn't even think anything of it. Well, there's so many layers to this story. This was a huge bag of chocolate chips. Chocolate chips prices have been exploding, so we bought bulk to save some money. We normally don't keep chocolate chips down there. We keep them in a difference, but this was a huge bag. We had used some to bake some cookies. This was a 36-ounce bag of chocolate chips. It'd probably been used more than half. And I call my wife from the vet, and I said, like, she's in class, but I was like, check the chocolate chips. And she's like, she weighs them. She's like, there's 2 ounces left. I go, I know for a fact this morning there was at least 10 to 12 ounces of chocolate chips in that bag. I said, I know that because I used them for something I made for breakfast for our boys. Yes, I put chocolate chips and things at breakfast. Okay. Don't judge me. Okay. Just, we listen. We don't judge. So yeah. Oatmeal. It was like a chocolate chip oatmeal or something. So, she's like, yeah, there's only 2 chocolate chips. So then they confirmed, yeah, it's chocolate. So he had a lot of chocolate, like enough that was so toxic, like we thought he was going to die. So right before I left, before I went to the vet, I'm running out the door, because I know, like, I got to get him there. At this point, of course, I still didn't know it was chocolate, but my son looks at me, my 9-year-old, and he goes, is he going to die? And lying through my teeth, I go, absolutely not. Like, I'm like, this is not what this boy needs right before he goes to bed, because it's probably 8:30, right after, after baseball practice. And I was like, absolutely not. He's going to be fine. But in my heart, I'm like, this dog might not make it through the night. So
on account of chocolate. Wow.
So then I get to the vet and I find out, and then they tell me the treatment plan. And you're like, what do they do for dogs? They do all the expensive things. This was the most expensive bag of chocolate chips I've ever purchased in my life.
Yeah.
So much money to help this dog. He stayed there overnight. I went home and they were like, he's going to be good. But what I did find out, here's the moral of the story. I'm not a dog person, but I am a my dog person. And so in that waiting room, I was like, you know what? I really do love my dog. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my dog. So anyway, he's fine. He's got charcoal stains all over his face because they give him charcoal to help with the inflammation and whatever. I don't know. They had to put an IV in, so his legs are shaved. He looks like a wreck, but he's healthy. He's fine. He'll be okay. Full recovery. No organ, no liver damage, nothing like that. But so that was and then I had to pick him up at 6:30 this morning, get him to his doctor, his vet, which is on the complete opposite side of town. So, So for you guys who love dogs out there, I know there's a lot of you. Keep your dog away from chocolate. Chocolate's bag. I hear your dog. He's probably listening. You got a dog, right?
I do. That's a neighbor.
Okay. I was like, wow, your dogs are on cue.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll call it a wrap there. Thanks for indulging me by asking about the story.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, enjoy everybody the rest of the week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Andrew, always a great time to chat Husker sports with you.
See you, everybody.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Go Big Red.